next corner on your right. Nice t-shirt.
Yeah, you're right.
Hey man, like my tie and the glasses?
Let me guess, you got them from Hugh Wright's?
Yeah.
Must be having a sale or something. Nice box!
How am I being mugged?
What's your name?
Hugh Wright.
Good morning, everyone. Nice walk. Well, welcome to Fashion Fads and Trends. And I think you'll agree with me that we face that at some time in our lives. So we'd like you to join us as we explore all this morning.
fashion, trends, and fads, the things that we follow, they all make a statement. And if it's fashion, firstly it makes a statement about the designer, whether it's Versace or Christian Dior or Calvin Klein or Nina Ricci or Reebok or something like Nike. They all make a statement about the designer. But mostly they make a statement about the wearer, you and I. And for some, it says, I'm different. Here I am. I'm a leader. I'm a follower. I'm unique. I'm not like the others. I'm a keen follower of fashions. For others, it says, I'm not different. I'm part of this group. I belong. I'm with these people. This is who I am. And for others still, it says, I don't care. I don't care what everybody wears. I don't care what everybody does. I'm different. I don't have to be like that. But no matter what fashion or trend or fad that you follow, what it says deep down in every one of us is, I want to be noticed and I need to be loved. And that's what all of us have deep down inside of us. I need to be noticed. Look at me. I need to be loved. We're going to take up the offering down, and as the bags come down the rows, across the rows, down the aisles, if you're a visitor here, just pass it on to the next person, all right? And as that's happening, I'm just going to pray for the offering. Let's pray. Father, we thank you that you know every one of our needs deep down inside. And most of all, you've already shown us your love. And we just want to offer something back to you of what you've given us today and every day. We ask that you take it and bless it. In Jesus' name. Amen. Just a couple of quick notices. After the service ends, there's going to be a morning tea, and you're all welcome to join, and we'd love to see you there afterwards. Secondly, next week the children's church starts again, and that starts at the same time as the main church. And now we have a drama for you by the team.
Hey, you're late.
Yeah, work. How's your knee?
Not too bad. Still got a bit of a twinge though.
Yeah. Stretch me?
Oh, yeah, sure. You catch the game this morning?
Oh, playing marvellous.
It's brilliant. That old fella, Frank Bunce, man. Jeez. I couldn't even imagine being 35.
Yeah, saved the team here today.
Oh, did he ever, man?
Brilliant, brilliant, yeah.
Brilliant, fantastic. Look at Umanga going off though, you know, getting that
It's a
injury.
shame that we didn't get all the Wellingtons on there, you know,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
Wellington people on there.
Oh, Lauren got a run, so yeah, that's all that counts. We've got another Wellington player on there.
Oh, that's nothing. Yeah, I think we should be the All Black coaches, huh?
Yeah.
Squats, eh?
Yeah, it's taught me what I just take.
What do you want to do?
Just 5.
That's right.
Okay. No sweat. Okay, let's go. Down, that's it. And up, that's one. Down, up, that's it. Down, up, 3. Come on. Oh, come on. Last one. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Sit-ups. We just need sit-ups. Okay. Sit-ups. Here we go. Sit-ups. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So tell me, why are we doing this again?
Because we can't fit into our clothes.
Yeah, so?
We've got to be lean and mean. Plus a healthy body is a healthy mind.
Is that all?
But wait, there's more. Woman.
Stuff that for a
Plus, if you want to be in the scene, you got to go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Look, so far I have been thin, fat, now I'm going for thin again. I've had long hair, short hair, dyed hair, now I'm going for no hair. I've worn single-breasted suits, double-breasted suits. I've been a Christian, a Buddhist, a Scientologist. I've been into chanting, meditating, eating vegetables only, praying to trees. I've listened to rock, disco, punk, rap. I tell you, going with the flow causes a hell of a lot of stress.
Take it easy, man. You're going to have a heart attack.
Oh man, look at us. We spend money we don't have on things we don't need for people we don't even like.
What's gotten into you?
I've just got in touch with the real me, according to my counsellor.
You see a shrink?
Well, hey, everybody else was seeing one. I'm just going with the flow.
the car. The gasoline speakers booming. The bass is big. They got heads moved to the side. Dark is on. Jackets open wide. They've got the hook to set the mood. They say they've got the attitude. Attitude. The attitude. They say they've got the attitude. Attitude. Oh yeah, the attitude. They say they've got the attitude. Break it down, yeah. Now ladies, I've seen you in the beauty salon cutting hair off and gluing it on, pressing your hair to the latest style. I rap about you for a while, placing on your fingernails, ready to attack the nearest male. You got the look, rehearse the moves, you think you got the attitude. Attitude, the attitude. You think you've got the attitude. Attitude, the attitude. You think you got the attitude.
Attitudes changing
Every day,
what to wear, what to say. Used to be cool, what's the best? Now it's ice cold, chilling afresh. You can't keep up, it moves too fast. You're running through all your cash, buying the stuff it takes to prove you really got
the attitude.
You know it's never gonna last. Right now, it's gonna be the past. The attitude you have today is only gonna fade away. But there are things that never change. Tomorrow, forever the same. I'm gonna rap about the dude who's really got the attitude.
Attitude, the attitude. Who's really got the attitude? Attitude, oh yeah, the attitude. Who's really got the attitude? Socially acceptable. It's okay, it's alright. Socially acceptable. It's okay, it's alright. Socially acceptable.
Yo, Nick, break it
Yeah,
down.
yeah. Socially acceptable or morally blind. If I followed you around the town, where would I find you? Chasing after cars, clothes, cell phones, or shoes. Chasing after things that be making the crowd move, boy. You think you got the attitude? Ha! Passion for fashion is the phrase I choose. Yo, you think I'm slow cause I don't go with the flow. In 97 I'm living and I'm good to go anywhere. I don't care, shrewd attitudes are few. But I ain't the few cause I'm there. Yo, fellas, well let's end this caper. Wanna know what's the cheap way? Yeah, we'll take it later. Socially acceptable. It's okay. It's alright. Socially acceptable. It's okay. It's alright. Socially acceptable.
1, 2, 3.
talking about fashions and trends, and one of the things is here we actually like this song. It's I would say it's probably maybe in the say the top 10. So if you'd like to stand and join us, this is what we're going to sing. It's a pretty easy song to pick up, and if you see some people jumping around, that's okay. They're just doing what it says. Jump.
Come
younger groups for the Children's Church, you can now go through to the rooms that you're allocated. Teresa's waiting at the door for you. This morning we're reading from James, and the first one is James 1. Do not merely listen to the word, and so deceive yourself. Do what it says. But anyone who listens to the word, but does not do what it says, is like a man who looks at his face in a mirror, and after looking at himself, goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But the man who looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues to do this, not forgetting what he has heard, but doing it, he will be blessed in what he does. Second is from James 4. Anyone who chooses to be a friend of the world becomes an enemy of God.
Forgiveness brings wholeness and fashions, fads, and trends. You know, Joan, she was really, really lonely. When she was little, she didn't have much, but what Mum used to do is take her window shopping. And so she would go window shopping, but the only trouble was that she needed some friends, so she couldn't resist buying. Because at least behind the counter, the person she paid the money to really appreciated, or seemed to appreciate her for what she was doing. They were grateful. Alex Otis, Al for short, well, he always wanted to be seen. You know, the kind of guy? I saw one guy in Auckland once. In fact, there were 3 of them. They had the latest ties on. We always like to look good. One of them was standing on the curb with a cell phone, and he's making sure everybody knew, you know, hanging out there. You know, the early days of cell phone, hardly anybody had them. And here he was, he's hanging out there, and he's wanting to be seen. His tie is so loud that he just about had to turn the sun off so that you didn't get the glare. I was in one of those moods that day. I thought, man, so I wound the window down. This is in Auckland, Queen Street. Stuck my finger out the window, I said, "Nice one!" You could see him visibly diving for cover. He wanted to be noticed. I guess we all do. This morning I was going to be here in my suit. Some of you saw me come in my suit. Sat down there and I was trying to do the lights, and I spread my legs and couldn't wear my suit anymore. Wasn't decent. I want to be seen to be decent too. I don't know about you. She always wore the most outrageous clothes. You know, the kind where you didn't have to guess what was under her clothes because you could see. She wanted to always look good and she wanted to always smell good, but somehow she always overdid it. The lipstick looked like it had been stuck on her face instead of being applied, and when you got near her, you wondered what she smelled of. She'd put so many perfumes on that they clashed, and she always, in spite of wanting to be popular, was only popular with the wrong guys. They could stand the smell because they knew they could get anything from her. And she was sad. She felt empty. She felt used. Ramad stayed home. Always stayed home. Watched lots of TV. People on TV can't see me, he thought. But I can live the lives with the ones who are there on the screen, and I can enjoy being accepted because there's nobody rejecting me. If I go out in the street, I've got too much at stake. I'm just a blob. I'm overweight, he says to himself. In actual fact, most people didn't even notice. But he didn't know. We all face the pressures. Success, wealth, fame, power or poverty. The appearance of success can be as important as the success itself. In fact, for most people, the appearance of success is almost more important because they're willing to do it at any risk. Oh my goodness, in the middle of the service. G'day. No. Perfect timing, yes. It would impress, after all, for most. Yeah, that's really important. Thank you very much. How do we live? to impress. I remember when I was a kid, you know. You could draw a man and you knew the time. That's the way it was. Everybody had watches, and there was just some of us who managed to get our grandfathers. Can't even remember what you call them. She's a beauty, you know. And you could wear it on your belt and look good. And then there was the trend around, and this thing here is really ancient, older than me. You know? I think the pirates of Penzance would do well to have this one, eh? It's got the little curl on the back. It looks savage. And it looks cool. The only trouble is that when you draw it, the popularity means you've got to use it. But it's funny, more recent times, the Boy Scouts had a big influence on us. And so the knife that can do almost anything. You know, you can undo cork chicken, use it as a screwdriver, you've got a pair of scissors even. I mean, what can't you do with this thing? They were the trends. And if you didn't have one of these as a young boy, you just were not cool. You were not cool at all. But you see, it's seen in all sorts of ways here. I like certain clothing, and I don't tend to wear it because it's fashion. I want to be my own fashion, you see. They're nice, aren't they? So you think they're cool? Whoa! Or the image of, the skier. It's no good to have gloves that were black anymore. You had to have them the right colour. And if you didn't have them the right colour and you didn't have the matching gear to go with them, then you were a nobody. A nobody at all. I remember going on the ski field, and I remember being on the slopes, and I didn't have a hat like this. I always wanted one because all these cool skiers had one. And if you didn't have one, you weren't a cool skier. I remember being on the slopes once, and I thought I was really getting it together, and I was skiing down the slopes, and I was starting to feel part of the scene, you know? Young man. I was starting to feel real good, you know. I'd managed to master some plough turns. Now, for those who are ignorant of skiing, that's the first thing you learn. And I had my toes in, and I was pushing out, and I was holding on, and I wasn't running away from myself like I'd done a couple of times already and ended up crashing. And I was doing really well. I was feeling really cool, except I didn't have the hat and the right gloves and the right jacket. But that was okay. I was going, until my ego got totally destroyed when this little kid, who must be about 3 or 4 years old, went whoosh through my legs. I canned off. I was discouraged. The image was destroyed. Or maybe you might want to have another image. I mean, I reckon I could do this one really well. You know, you get it cool. And there's some who would chase that kind of image. But I guess this isn't an image from this area, is it? I can't do it. I guess, if you really want to get it together, this is more the image of sun. I just asked, what are we? Do we have to change our hats every time we see a new friend? Maybe. crazy, none of us can ignore it. None of us at all. It's been driven home to us so patently, powerfully this week with the murder of Johnny Versace. And people have got all sorts of thoughts about why it happened, and the police have, and maybe they're right. But what's it really about? What's it really about? What are we really driven by in this world today? See, it's not only fashion like this, but there are all sorts of things which people look for popularity and acceptance. One of the ones that most people probably missed in the last couple of weeks, it was so obvious, but it's been missed. I've talked with people here, they missed it. You know the visit to Mars, the little robot? It goes up to a silicate rock, which they didn't think was a silicate rock, and it scans it and they find there were things there that shouldn't have been there because the day before, in our newspapers, a big write-up about this Martian rock. Great theory! The scientist who proposed the idea about this Martian rock being Martian had all the right ideas, and everybody in the scientific world, if you wanted to be in the know, you flowed with this. The irony of it was the very next day, this little wee wheeled robot that Earthman put on Mars discovered that the rock is nothing like the rock that's meant to be from Mars. And nobody even mentioned it. It must have been unpopular. In fact, it's to the place in our society where it's so hip to accept the scientific worldviews that people are willing to throw out any sense of integrity and morality. You don't even dare disagree at the lower echelons or the higher echelons. If you disagree at the higher echelon, you're rejected. And people don't even recognise the power of those kinds of things. We see the fashion thing far easier, but we don't see the other things. We don't even recognise what rules. Why is it that David Attenborough has been so popular and so acceptable? Why is it that people implicitly trust everything he says when there are scientists and a significant group of scientists who oppose almost everything he says? What is it that drives a person? And I'm not wanting to say that any negative criticism about David himself. I don't want to imply this. But we do need to think about it. What is it that drives the people who do these things? Can I suggest that the dollar drives things more than we would like to accept? You see, because it's not how much truth is being told, but how much the dollar drives the fashion, the trends, the fads that we want to live for. So what is it that drives these things? I have three headings this morning. The first one I want to touch on is the whole question of what I am worth as a person. I don't know if you've ever been around churches very much, and for those of you who haven't, you might not have noticed this, but if you've seen TV, take note next time when you see some of the American Pentecostal preachers. Most of them have traditionally, and although I think it's starting to shift, if you're a Pentecostal preacher, you wear white shoes. And you dress in this cool suit and you look expensive. You see, I think it impacts everybody. What am I worth? The desire for significance for every human being is there. And sometimes it's expressed in how well I look and how flash I look. And sometimes it's just a plain old homey look, whatever fits. Well, the girls in the homey look have always intrigued me. They've reversed society, do you know that? The homey girls have reversed society. Their petticoats go on the outside, not the inside. That's what happens. What am I worth? My daughter's protesting because it's the look's shifting. for significance often becomes painfully obvious in people's lives. I don't know whether you saw the other night on television the heroin addict on 60 Minutes. A young guy who talked at depth and at length, and they got this guy to talk really at depth and length. I sat there and I bled for the guy. Because he sat there and he said, first of all, he just wanted to try it. He just wanted to have a little go on the stuff. And eventually he got to heroin and of just a few small stuffs, and eventually he was mainlining and he was really into it. And you know what he said at the end of it? He says two things. He said, you know, and he could see it coming, the emotion was building up. He said, you know, the thing I really miss, he was asked that question, the thing I really miss is the hugs that my mum used to give me. And I sat there and I thought, this is so potent, this is so powerful. He felt so alienated from his family, he couldn't even go near them. And then the second thing he said, and he started crying at this point, tears flowed down his face in front of the camera, totally embarrassed, trying to wipe them away. He said to them, the worst thing is that I'm lonely. I've got no friends. He said, my habit means that I can't trust anybody and nobody can trust me. All because he wanted to be hit. He wanted to be seen. He wanted to be feeling as if he was worth something. He wanted to know there was some kind of value in life, and he screwed it up. And he couldn't see his way out. Now it's interesting. Television, the movies, they constantly promote things that are right within this vein. You know, one of the things they promote? That the man who's really making it is one who can seduce a beautiful woman on the spot. James Bond. Who else? There's plenty of them. There's other images too, you know, there's a detective who always goes around looking like he needed something. And for those of you who were watching, and I noticed a couple went like this when they saw me get up. For him it seems to have a shave is indecent. And I think there are things that people do like that, just little things which say, no, I'm worth something in my own eyes. I'm going to do something that's important to me and me alone. If people ask what are they worth in terms of financial dollars, they've just got to have, even if it only looks like they have. But some of them will take incredibly dangerous risks with investments. I know that doesn't apply to a lot of you here, but I want to say that a high percentage of those people who take those risks end up in trouble. The second question that comes up is this one: am I secure? People search for a sense of security. And you see it in different people's lives. You see the person who, when they were a child, they had very little. They grew up with virtually nothing. And so they become workaholics to try and resolve that. And they say things like, I'm doing this for my family's sake. And what they often don't recognise is that their family's missing out because they're doing so much of that. Trying to make their family rich when their family would have been far richer if they'd only spent some time with them. They'd only realise that they're being driven by something that has come from their past. There are women, and there are some men like this as well, who feel that if they can only make a safer home, things would be far, far better. And they want everybody to accept them in the process. And so what they do is they try and make their home really safe for their children, and they spend lots. And they miss love. And they sometimes end up in bankruptcy. Or as the guys were showing here this morning, the greatest trend. I mean, you can see I'm not into it, physical fitness. Why do we do it? Well, if you read or listen to all the adverts, what is it saying? Saying you can live longer, you won't have heart problems, and all the other things. The only trouble is, a few years down the track, they've discovered that running down the street does you more damage if you're doing it every day than it would if you sat down and you walked around normally at home. And in America, they've got an epidemic of people facing physical problems from shock from running on tar-sealed roads and footpaths. Health. I wanted to feel secure. I wanted to feel that I'll live longer. And the last one is the whole question of where's the action? You know, you get people, they say, you know what's happening this week? Is there a party going down somewhere? Just got to know. To different degrees, we're all activity sensitive. We're people who want things to happen. Do we want them to happen the right way? And that's different for every person. In every way. We want fun in our lives. So some people, their fun is to go bungee jumping or jumping over waterfalls or playing rugby or league. Maybe they go whitewater rafting or riding on dune buggies. Maybe they go scuba diving or they go to discos week after week after week. Maybe they're just looking. Maybe that's why the amusement parks do so well. People are wanting some kind of action. There are some people whose action is to take no risks. I know my wife's one, and I took her up just north of Auckland. There's some hot pools, and they were some of the first hydro slides in New Zealand. And there's these 5 choices at the top of the hydro slide. And I said to Pauline, there's a really cool one, it's called the black hole. And she says, is it safe? Is it, you know, is it all right? You know, you think I'll be all right? Oh, yeah, it's really safe, you know. It's just gentle, you know, not too steep, you know, it's okay, you know. You'll be fine. So trusting me, she climbs into it. I felt so guilty and so bad afterwards. When she came out the bottom, she hit the water and she was so stunned and so shocked she couldn't swim. And I had to rescue her. She had terrible difficulties trying to forgive me for sending her down the black hole. She must have thought I was this worst person around. She didn't even want to talk to me. And that's not something she does easily. I felt so bad, I wished I'd sent her on the most gentle ever hydro slide in her life. Because now I can't get her to go on one. And what was a bit of fun wasn't fun at all for her. See, I like the adrenaline rush. She likes the world to take it cool and nice. And I don't know why she married him. It's not all wrong. It's not wrong to look flash. It's not wrong to have good cars or good clothes or anything like that. And in spite of what some people have said, it's not wrong. It's the attitude that can be the thing that's wrong. It's the thing that's below it. And we know when things are wrong, don't we? Isn't that true? Yeah? So I want to talk about 3 principles that would help us to make sure we don't end up in the wrong. How many of you have actually said, I'm going to stop doing this? Whatever it is, I'm not going to do it again. And you think that you can wean yourself away from something. You know what I mean? I'm going to stop doing the things that have a grip on me, I say. And whether it's overeating, smoking, watching too much TV, whether it's the fact that I get involved in reading things I shouldn't be reading, or whatever it is, whether it's because I wear clothes I shouldn't wear. I know when I first met my wife, one of the things that happened is that she wore these mini skirts. I mean, they were mini. Every girl wore them. Well, almost every girl. And I was the kind of guy who wore some pretty loud clothing. You know, I had people in white striped shorts and pink and orange swirled skivvy, and by the stage I'd become a Christian, so I had this bright green Jesus badge on so that it would stand out. And I said to Pauline, look, if you go out with me, I really would prefer you not to wear those mini skirts. And she said, why? I said, because it leaves nothing to the imagination. I mean, you only need to bend a little bit and that's it. And Pauline actually hadn't realised, you know that? And I reckon most of the girls in those days didn't realise what it was doing to guys' minds. All in the name of fashion. Oh boy, they were hot. Too hot. If we say we're going to stop something, we need to stop it. There's a Dutch proverb that says this: what the eye sees not, the heart craves not. Well, I don't think it's always true. But I think it's helpful when we decide to stop doing the things that have a grip on us. We need to decide to do it. And the second thing flows on from that. It says, be prepared to quit doing the negative immediately. How many of you have said, I'm going to stop, I'm going to reduce this down, you know, whatever it happens to be, whether it's smoking or whatever it happens to be. Today I'm only going to have 10, or I'm only going to do this, so I'll only spend an hour doing this, because I'm only going to watch 2 programs on TV instead of the 10. Whatever it happens to be, I won't sit down and watch soap operas I know are bad for me. Those kinds of things. But I'm going to calm myself off slowly. So, what's the worst one? You know? What do you reckon's the worst soap opera? Anybody tell me?
Hey.
Come on, some days of our lives. I was going to ask the girls that told me if I'm watching, but I better not. That's unsaved ground. You know? Maybe I'll stop watching the Days of Our Lives. And I'll still watch the other ones, and I'll wean myself off next week of the other one. You know, the truth is it never happens. Weaning might work with babies. Well, I think sometimes we can only treat ourselves as babies when we think we're going to wean. When I stopped smoking, I stopped smoking. When I stopped and I decided to stop drinking because I felt strongly about it, I don't think that drinking itself is evil, but for me it was. I decided to stop and I stopped it. That's it. But you know, the funny thing was with the drink thing was, at first I didn't decide to stop, but I tried to wean. I won't have as much, I'll only have it with my meals. It didn't work. It never worked. It's when I got convicted, when I felt so strong about it, I thought, that's it! When a guy who I knew really well, who had real problem with alcohol, and alcohol was strongly in my family, and one of the reasons I struggled with it so much. When he stood there drinking my beer that I'd shouted at the guys at work when I was leaving the place, and he leaned against the pole, and this guy wasn't known for saying great things, but he said to me, and I thought you were a Christian, Gary. As he sipped another glass, and he had had too much already. Boy, did I feel bad. Bit by bit will not work. There's a guy called Doug, I don't know whether I'll get his name right, Hummus Joel, who used to be one of the key leaders in the United Nations. He said this: you cannot play with the animal in you without becoming wholly animal. He who wants to keep their garden tidy doesn't reserve a plot for the weeds. I think he's right. I think he's right. I think if we reserve a little plot for the weeds, then we're asking for trouble. And the last one I want to touch on is that we replace the negative in our lives with a positive. We need to do that. We need to think about what we're doing. We need to be willing to bring change. To replace the negative in our lives with the positive. We don't need to do it on our own. And that's the good news. You know, often you hear people who are Christians saying, "Now I've got the good news for you." And then they say things like, "You're totally depraved, you're the worst sinner on the earth and you need redeeming." That's the good news. And the bad news is that you're going to hell. They got it kind of wrong, however. No, the good news is that God created us to be community. And that community can either be destructive or constructive for us. God himself is community. When he made man, he said, "Let us make man in our image." And that's a healthy image for us to follow. He recommends his own image to us very strongly. We don't need to play the games. We don't need to be entrapped by society. We don't need to do it on our own. There's a guy by the name of Moody some years ago who became so powerful a person, incredibly powerful man. He used to go around and he saw all sorts of people healed and people by their thousands would be touched by his messages that he would preach. But the thing that touched him, the thing that triggered that change off for him, the thing that made him become the significant person he had not been, was when he heard a guy in England say this. He said, "The world has yet to see what God will do with a man fully consecrated to him, fully set aside to him." And Moody was so struck by that, he says, "Man, that's significance. That is real significance. That is the most important thing that I've ever heard in my life." And he decided, "I'm going to be all out for God. I'm going to do this thing. The world is yet to see." Can I suggest that the most significant place that anybody could have in the world is to have God's respect? And anything that we do or we have in ourselves, the popularity we may have in the world, even if we become multi-millionaires, it means nothing. The multi-millionaires have been so greedy they've continued to grab more, and they couldn't give a hoot for anybody else. And they become threatened by everybody around them, like Howard Hughes, who used to wear white gloves and wouldn't allow a woman in his presence near the end of his life because he was afraid of catching some disease. I would say there's a guilty conscience that drove that kind of thinking. A man who had everything but had nothing. Did you notice the passage that was read out earlier? One of them said this: "Anyone who chooses to be a friend of the world becomes an enemy of God." And I guess one of the things I would recommend strongly in terms of this trends, fads and fashions is that the thing that's most important is not what we wear or how much we own or anything like that, but who we know and how we relate to them. At the end of the day, we'll die. And every statement we've ever made in our life could be either meaningless or significant. I don't know whether you've noticed, but Manu, who organises these Seeker Service, he's our creative arts director on staff. I was talking with somebody yesterday and they asked me about our staff here, and I said, "Oh, Manu, you know Manu, he's on our staff." "Manu?" I said, "The guy with dreadlocks, he's on staff." Huh? Here's this image that if you're a Christian, you're not allowed to wear dreadlocks. See, that's not what's important. It's what's in his heart that's important. It's who he is that's important. It's who we are. Whether we're poor or rich, but God doesn't even think about that. In fact, our wealth is nothing compared to his. We're all on equal footing at the end of the day. And the most significant thing we can ever do and know in our lives is to know him. The most important thing that we could ever have in our lives. Any sense of self-worth, at the end of our lives will be accounted for. When we can stand before God, if we choose to do that, and he can say, well done, good and faithful friend of mine. Good and faithful servant. Well done. But if we get up there and we have to stand before God and he says to us, I don't know, sorry. Then that would be the saddest thing. That's a real unpopular vote. If you get my drift. And I want to say that the thing that I have found, and I know many others have found the most security in is to know that God lives for me. And I can live through anything when I know that. I don't have to be secure in other ways. I don't have to own things. I don't have to be things. I don't have to be driven by what other people think. Although there is still a temptation to be like that. I don't have to anymore. And the action? Well, if we're really going to live a Christian life, then, I mean a real Christian life, not a hypocritical life. So any action there. It's great. I enjoy it. I've had over 27 years of it. And I won't say it's easy, because it's not. There are points where it's great and fantastic. At some points it's really tough. But to keep our integrity, we've got to be honest about those kinds of things, and we need to understand that at the end of the day, the fashions, fads and trends that we live with are only valuable if it means that we've got eternity. We're only living for the life that we're living with here, and we're living for nothing. Because at the end of the day, we die. And I'm going to close right now with a prayer that I'd like to invite you to join me with. A prayer is simply talking to God. That's what the word means. It's just like we talk to each other, and God's ready to listen to every one of us at any moment. We don't have to look right. We don't have to be within his trend, within his fold even, to talk to him. Because the way of getting into his fold is to actually talk with him. And so I'm going to give you that opportunity today to say, okay, God, I really want to have real significance and real meaning in my life. And so I'd invite you to pray with me. And if you want to agree with this prayer at the end, I'm going to give you the opportunity to do so. I'm not going to ask you to come up the front, anything like that. I'm just going to simply say at the end of the prayer, and all the people said, and when I say that, if you agree with that prayer, I want you to, with the rest of the congregation, to say, Amen. So if you'd like to join me, you can either keep your eyes open or close your eyes. There's no biblical thing to tell you how to do it like that. But I'm going to close mine because I just want to have that space. And I think better with God sometimes when I close my eyes. So I'm going to close my eyes, and if you'd like to join me in the prayer, then feel free to do that. Father God, we'd ask that you might take a hold of us and mold us to be like you. Lord, we want real significance. You designed us to have it. You designed us to be people who feel secure with you. You designed us to be people who understand who we are and what life is all about. And God, we come to you today. There's different ones of us here. There's some of us, Lord, who are Christians, and still haven't really worked it all out. And we're on the journey. Some of us have worked it out to a large degree, but some of us have never even had a shot at working it out yet, Lord. And Lord, we want to ask you together. We're all together in this. That you might get involved in our lives, and the acceptance that we need, the significance that we need, and you've designed us to have. That we might be able to find that in you. Lord, we know we've done wrong. Sometimes we know the things we've been doing are wrong things, and we want to say this morning, we're sorry. And we'd ask that you'd help us to change, to become more like you, and have real fulfillment and real joy in our lives. In Jesus' mighty name. And all the people said, Amen. Lord bless you. If you'd like to join us with a cup of tea now, you're welcome to do so. If you'd like to talk with your friend you came with or with one of us, please feel free to do so if you want to raise questions or whatever. And let's show appreciation to the team here. There's so much work. The Lord bless you. Have a